Step into the spotlight of Sans Showbiz, guiding you through the stories behind the stars with Nigel Clarkson. Today, chatting to Nigel Clarkson on the Sans Showbiz podcast. It's Caroline Gilmour and Marissa Keltie, otherwise known as the Eves.
On the podcast today, we're going to be chatting to two lovely ladies, Marissa and Caroline, who are the Eves, and I've spoken to the ladies a couple of times before. I think it's a couple of years ago now since we last chatted. Hello, how are you? Are you okay?
We're good. How are you, Nigel?
Yeah, I'm all right, thanks. I was reading up today a little bit, doing a bit of reading, making a few notes. He sent a lot of information over for me, and wow, you have been so busy of late, especially 2023.
We're knackered. We're knackered.
You said that last time we spoke.
Yeah, it never changes.
What you like. Been very busy 2023. You've been touring around the country and you've been touring with Scaravore as well.
Yeah, it's been 3 separate tours with them now down in England and then a few of their Scottish shows as well. So that's been an amazing opportunity. Some of the venues that these boys have played at, sold out shows to 2,000 to 2,500 people. It's just been incredible. So yeah.
You've been doing some big gigs and you've also been helping out with Scaravore. You've been doing the warm up there for them. Those guys have been doing big things, haven't they, in 2023? It's looking bright and a bright future for Scaravore.
They're doing really well up here. Also, they're in the States at the moment, actually. They're on tour in America. So they're doing really, really well. And it was such an honour and a privilege to be asked to join them on all their tours to date so far. It's been really, really great, isn't it?
Amazing. They're a nice bunch of lads and good fun to be around. And their fans are lovely too. Really, really lovely fans. Caring people. And yeah, it's just great to share the stage with them and be part of it all.
Yeah, you've done a lot of support for various groups as well and bands as you travel around the UK. I was going to ask you, on your travels, meeting all these famous people and these bands and these groups, who's been a bit of a diva, or maybe even better, who's been really, really lovely? Who you got on with on your travels? And you know, when you sit down after the show, you managed to have a good old chinwag with them. So who's going to be your favourite artist that you've bumped into on your travels?
Sister Sledge.
Oh, Sister Sledge were so genuinely kind.
They were amazing, They were so
very
nice.
humble and
Yeah, we got a good chat with them and their family and the rest of the band and everything. We got a nice picture with them and they were just so lovely, not diva-ish at all. You know, really.
They keep in touch on Instagram with us now as well. So we send messages and you know, how we're doing and things, which is just really lovely. It's like, oh my God, we're talking to band members and Sister Sledge like they're old friends. It's lovely. It's really
I remember Sister Sledge as a kid, and they set off in the late 70s. Is that right? Around about the late 70s they got going?
They did, yeah. So there's one original member left because sadly one of the sisters died and I think the other one left. So, but they've kind of built on a legacy of the Sister Sledge name, so they brought like their family in now, so it's the family members plus the one original member, they're all such a talented bunch of people, and it was a masterclass in watching them perform and how to keep a crowd engaged. But we gave it a fairly good kind of warm up for them. I think that we did pretty well. That was at a festival called Fringe by the Sea, so it was a sold out show for about 2,000 people on a Friday night in Scotland. So you can imagine the crowd were up for it from the word go. So we didn't really have much to do to warm them up, to be honest. So
okay. So I was going to ask you, who actually sorts out the support jobs that you get? Is that done by yourselves, or does somebody organise who you're going to be supporting on tour?
Pretty much manager Caroline.
Me here. So I'm the manager of the band now. I do all the gig bookings, all the kind of managerial admin tasks. So I deal with all the sales basically. We're kind of self-sufficient.
So when it comes to tasks, like do you actually divide things up between yourselves? You know, Caroline does something and then Marissa does something else. Is that how it works?
Yeah, you do most of the kind of communications with people, contracts and tech specs and things like that.
Finances and
and I'll do other tasks like kind creating videos and stuff like that we do, other content, styling and things like that. So we just play to our strengths really, and just, you know, just muck in and do what we can. There's always something to do.
There is.
So when I was reading all about you two, I was finding out a lot of details, and I thought, wow, these ladies are really multi-talented, and you've done all sorts of things, haven't you? Marissa, you've been involved in a little bit of doing, well, voiceovers for advertising. Is that correct?
I work mainly as a voiceover artist, so yeah, so that's kind of like my day job, if you like. That's what pays a lot of the bills. So yeah, and just do the music alongside that. And you've got
modelling. You do some modelling as well.
Yeah, I tried to do a bit of modelling, but it just didn't work out for me. Wasn't very busy. Right, all people listening to the podcast are thinking, how did you all get together, or how did you both get together in the first place?
So back in 2016, I was looking for someone to write with, and I heard about Caroline on the kind of like Edinburgh scene. We'd actually passed each other quite a few times, and I think we lived on the same street at one point. We played in the same bars. We knew a lot of the same musicians, and I had listened to Caroline's stuff and thought, you know, let's see if we can make this happen. So I got in touch to see if she wanted to write. At the time, she was busy with our solo EP at the time, and our own stuff. But we got together, I think, about a month after that for a cup of coffee and just chatted everything through, and then started writing together shortly after that. And that was it. That was it.
The songs just started flowing and the magic started to happen, and we thought, here, should we give this a go? Shall we see how this sounds? And we were quite pleased with the music that we were writing together, because although we were both solo artists way back, I don't know, there was just something nice about the music that we were writing together. It was quite fresh, it was quite upbeat, and I just thought, let's see how this goes. And yeah, so we're in 2024 now, and we're still we're still here doing it. Yeah,
it's nice to have a friend as well, you know, to do it alongside.
Yeah. Were you good friends in the first place, or did that just sort of materialise as you went through, you know, writing songs and getting together?
We just knew about each other on the scene. Actually, there's a funny story. So we figured out, or you told me, Marissa, that in 2012, I apparently emailed you because I was looking for a keyboard player for my band at the time. So my endeavours, I was looking for session players. So I'd heard about her and thought, oh, she's good. And I wrote to you, and you turned me down. You said, I'm too busy, Caroline. I'm too busy.
We both forgot about it, because you'd forgotten about it, and I'd forgotten about it, and I only realised that I think I was looking for another email that Caroline had sent me, and I typed in, you type in your email inbox if you're searching for something, type in a name or a subject or whatever, and I just typed in your name, and then there was
2012.
There was a historical email from back in 2012, and I was like, oh my god, you actually asked me to play keyboards for you. But
I think what prompted the contact from you was we were actually booked to play the same venue on the same day, but at different times. It was for HIV. It was I think it was for HIV awareness or something. Makeup store in Edinburgh, and so we didn't know that we were playing, but when I got there, her name was on the board, but she played literally just before I got there and had left. I thought, oh, that's that Marissa Keltie. I must get back in touch with her, and we met for that coffee. So
you had a couple of great songs. Well, you've had many great songs, but two big songs that spring to mind, one of which was Big Love. I remember playing that at Sounds Radio. I think we were playing it for more over 6 months or something like that, even longer maybe. It was one of those songs that just kept going because it was so good. Was it through the summertime? I seem to remember. I think it was the summertime. It was around that period.
Oh, was it?
Scottish women's football. So I think, did we put it out in the April? I can't even remember now.
I think it might have been like sort of. I remember doing the photo shoot for it, and it was still cold in Scotland, but it wasn't winter. I think it was maybe sort of springtime.
I think it was the last time I spoke to you, because we're talking about a big summer song. You said you wanted a big summer song, and it came along and it proved to be a really big summer song in that summer. Yeah, cracking song.
It did well. It got a couple of spot plays on radio too. It got on loads of playlists. Like a lot of stations in Ireland, actually. Quite a lot of radio stations there. And then it was adopted as the official anthem for Scottish women's football. So it seemed to do pretty well. Yeah.
And looking back, you've done some really big performances. What about the one in front of the rugby crowd there? Do you remember that?
We did.
Yeah. How many was there? What was the crowd?
The crowd was about, I want to say 60,000, but
wow.
So we were in the fan village, which just absolutely mental. So you can imagine the fan village, right? You can just imagine. And it was the day that Scotland were playing Wales for, I think, the Doddy Weir Cup. Scotland won it. And of course, you can imagine. So we actually played before the game, and then we played after the game as well. And the place was jumping.
It was good. It was a cold day, though.
Amazing.
Did it make you a little bit nervous before you performed, or do you not really get on edge before a big do like that?
Sometimes it really depends on the day.
Sometimes I really do struggle with it. I get quite anxious. It's normally the danger zone's about half an hour before we're due to go on stage, and that's when I just feel like my stomach's just like a washing machine. And as much as I'm telling myself, it's fine, you've done this a million times before, everyone's really lovely, there's no one who wants to see you fail, Caroline, just go out there and do the gig and just do what you do. And you're telling yourself this, but your stomach's going, nah. I think that there's a moment, though, isn't there, when you do that first song and you get a good reaction, you find yourself just kind of settling into it, and then before you know it, it's done. It goes really quickly.
Yeah, there's a strange sort of sense of time on stage. It's not like normal time.
Right. Yeah.
It either goes really, really, really super fast, and you think, wow, that's like 7 songs like that, or if you can either be like super hyper aware, and it's almost like the game stops and it goes a lot slower. More often than not, I think it goes much faster than what real time feels like. But it can go slow as well. It just depends.
It's got its own time zone. Yeah. And it very much depends on the crowd. And also just your perception of that crowd and how you feel the energy. So like there have been times that we've been on stage thinking they're not enjoying this. You can just see their faces. They're all just standing watching, and that's the hardest thing, being a kind of warm-up act, if you will, for quite a lot of the opening slots that we've done, because it isn't our audience, it's someone else's audience, and you're like, oh God, they hate us, and we look at each other and we're like, just keep smiling and just keep singing, and the sweat's lashing off you, and you're like, God, get me off the stage. And then you go off and you're at the merchandise and it's mobbed. And everyone's coming up to you going, you were amazing. We loved it.
Yeah.
And you feel like, why didn't you show it? I would have completely relaxed on stage.
You just have to realise that not everybody, some people can watch a performance and be really enjoying it and not show it. And to be fair, like when I go to a concert, I don't jump around. I don't do any of that sort of stuff. I watch, and I probably intently watch, and I listen, and I really enjoy it. And I probably look quite serious. I probably don't look like I'm enjoying it. So you just have to realise that, not everybody, that some people enjoy it, but they can look quite serious. So it can be quite hard to read the audience sometimes. You just have to take it with a pinch of salt.
Yeah, totally agree. Yeah.
And not take it personally if people look miserable, because sometimes they are actually enjoying it.
Other festivals, are they expanding just a little bit? There seemed to be a little bit more, or should I say there was more in the way of festivals last year in 2023.
Yeah, there's been quite an explosion, I think, all over the UK of festivals, boutique festivals, small festivals, particularly on the islands, in Scotland. But then I guess on the other hand, you've seen quite a lot of festivals fold and have to cancel because they can't shift tickets, or just the cost of everything's gone up. So it doesn't matter how many tickets you've sold, you're just never going to make a profit for these events companies that put it on. So, but there's definitely been an explosion, because I think back to a time in Scotland, where really you just had like tea in the park.
Yeah, that was it.
I honestly can't think of any other festival. And now you've got Belladrum, you've got Transmit, you've got Butefish, you've got Tiree Festival, you've got EDF, you've got all these amazing festivals. There's so much choice out there now for people.
Yeah, that's a good thing, isn't it?
A brilliant thing, definitely.
I was going to ask you, has the music industry changed in the last sort of 5 years, would you say?
It's a tough one. It's definitely in the past 5 years, or maybe not so much in the past 5 years, certainly in the past like sort of 10, 15 years, I think. But
yeah.
I think it's your perception of what is the music industry versus what the reality is, I think, is more something I could answer, because when you're on the outside looking in, you think that the music industry is this big, glamorous machine that just produces stars and hits and makes lots of money for people. And that couldn't be further from the truth. There's like tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people scrambling to get these spots at festivals even. It's so competitive. But also the whole landscape's changed in the terms of social media and what that brought about for artists and the extra responsibilities that artists have to bear now, and being social media content managers, doing your own PR and your own promotion before a record label will even sniff near you. You know, how many followers do you have? How many Spotify listeners have you had? How many streams have you had?
Right.
You know, and there's a lot of interest based on data and metrics now.
It's more accountable these days then, is it, really? Everybody's looking at all the figures.
Yeah, and I think, you know, the good old days of scouts going to bars and open mic nights and looking for people, I don't see that anymore. I could be wrong, but I don't see anyone. And like the numbers that are going to some gigs, like I've seen a lot of artists have had to cancel tours and they've had to cancel gigs because all the venues are either too expensive and they can't shift the tickets because people want to see live music, or it's just too expensive, the cost of the outlay to pay for musicians and to pay the cost of the venue and the promoters. And often the artist comes away with the smallest slice, if any slice, of the pie. So it's a really difficult industry, Nigel, I would say.
I noticed recently that, and especially lately, that a lot of people are now looking for their own record label. Has that become more common?
Yeah, I think so. I think, like Caroline says, the artist usually gets the smallest slice of the pie, and with the major labels, you really do get very, very little, and you also get very little control of who your music's put out there, when it's put out there. You'll have probably heard about Ray, that the artist that
she just won all the Brits.
She just won all the Brits. She had a major record deal, and the record label, they just lose interest or something.
No, so I think she was signed on a 4-album deal and she had an album ready to go, but she was also a writer for other people. And was doing really well writing for big artists. So the label just wanted her to keep pumping out the tunes for other people. And she's like, well, I want to do my own album. I have an album ready to go. And they wouldn't let her put it out. They didn't think that she had what it took to put out the record. And then she's just basically gone independent and won 6 Brits, which is a record. And that's the debate at the moment, is the major labels are kind of losing ground now, I would say, in the sense of getting the young artists or the new artists to kind of develop them and to put them out there. Like, they're not doing that. They're going for really well established artists, or they're going for TikTok sensations who have one daft little video that then propels them into the megasphere, and they're focusing a lot on that, whereas there's a lot of bands and artists at grassroots level are just having to do it on their own now because it's so difficult to break through. And I think the smaller independent labels and artist-friendly deals is definitely becoming the more attractive proposition to look at these days, because when you sign for a big label, you could be left on the shelf for 4 or 5 years, not allowed to release anything. It's all up to them. And you know? So
So I was going to ask you, I mean, everything seems to be changing in the music industry like we've been chatting about. What's the best platform to sell your music on these days?
In terms of the biggest sort of financial gain for us would be selling physical products at gigs.
Yep.
Merchandise, is by far the biggest way to make any money. You really don't make anything off streaming. And unless you're getting the sort of millions, billions. I mean, even for 1 million streams, you only get, is it £4,000?
£4,000
for 1 million streams, and that's very, very difficult to get. And £4,000 is not even going to cover,
recording costs,
recording and marketing costs. So
yeah, I think you have to view social media streaming sites as a kind of marketing tool, really. So if you can just kind of be happy with the fact that you're probably not going to make your fortune from Apple and Spotify and all the digital sites. You're probably not going to make a proper living off that unless you're quite a big act that's got a lot of followers every month and a regular, consistent stream rate. If you're not there yet, then really the only mechanism to go out there is to go out and graft and do gigs and make fans. Keep your fans close, build up that fan base, get out and do your own gigs, get out and actually do your own merchandise, your t-shirts, your CDs, and also try to get an agent to help you pitch your music to television and film as well, because that's kind of where the money is well for licensing. So,
talking of television, you've just been on the TV, I noticed, over the weekend.
Scottish television, on the What's On entertainment programme. That was good fun.
Yeah.
How did that come about? Did they just get in touch with you?
Yeah, they emailed, which was nice because, a lot of what we do in music, you have to always, be the one that's asking things and putting yourself out and stuff. So it is nice you get the odd thing when someone comes to you and says, would you like to do this? And so they invited us to be on the show, and they came through with their crew to Edinburgh. They're based in Glasgow. They came through to Edinburgh. And we went to a nice venue there, and we did the interview and did a few live songs for them as well. So
that's brilliant. I mean, the exposure on the TV gives you a fantastic push.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, they said, I think they told us that they get more viewers in Scotland than the One show. So I was like,
there you go. Yeah,
and
brilliant.
Actually, it was really nice, Nigel, because after it was aired on Friday night, we started to get the spike of, we've got Facebook followers tonight. We've got some new Instagram followers. There was definitely a little bit of traction after the segment. So that kind of thing is just invaluable, you never know who's watching, do you, on the TV?
Yeah.
That's absolutely brilliant. So what gigs have got lined up for 2024 then? I know you've got a few lined up already.
Got some festival shows, yeah. So we're doing the EDF festival in the island of Benbecula.
Right.
So absolutely beautiful. It's like the tropics of Scotland. It's got white sandy beaches, and so we've got that to look forward to. And then the same weekend in July, we're off to Bute Fest on the Isle of Bute. And then we've got another festival that we're going to be announcing soon. We can't say too much, but that's going to be local.
Okay.
And then we're playing Darville Music Festival for our friends Skerryvore, so we'll be opening for them in November, but there'll probably be more shows as well that we'll be doing in the year. So yeah.
Have you been writing any more new music then recently, with 2024 in mind?
We have, just trying to be behind the scenes and be busy coming up with new content. Because it's like, you've got to give the fans something new to listen to, and put out some new material. So we've been working really hard.
Would you say that your material and your songs have changed since you first started?
I would say this new stuff is a little bit, actually. Don't want to give too much away, but it's
No.
I suppose we first kind of started out in that organic pop sound. So when you go back to the beginning of Tides and the Christmas track and City of Stars, there was guitars and there was all that there. And then during COVID, because we had to be recording remotely, we took on quite a strong pop sound. So it was quite a lot of kind of electronic music. I mean, obviously you had played the piano in, and I did a little bit of guitar, put that in the tracks. But it definitely went pop, the other way, pop. This time we're just going back a little bit into that kind of darker organic pop space. So back to guitars and back to that kind of real nice sort of, I don't know what you would call it, but it's a
proper music.
proper music.
I'm not against any of this sort of new music or anything, but I mean, it's a little bit sort of manufactured these days, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there is a lot of it that is quite heavily manufactured by samples and things. You know, it's quite accessible now, I think, music.
Yeah.
Lots of people that want to create, and there's nothing wrong with it. There's a market for everyone and every title. And we were quite conscious of that when we did that full pop sound, that we still wanted to make sure that we had proper harmonies in there, that there was acoustic guitar sitting under it or a bit of electric guitar on some of the songs, and the pianos were played in. Like, you know, we did keep our integrity with that pop sound, but I just feel like now we're definitely going down that kind of organic pop route, so hopefully get a slightly more timeless sound.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the same. We write pop music. That's what we write. You know, it's you know, the songs are going to be melodic pop. That's never going to change.
Yeah.
But I think, what Caroline was saying is we just want to go for a slightly more timeless production on our tracks. But hopefully still the same Eve's sound with harmonies and things.
Oh yeah.
They say now that things are going down the quality street sort of fashion of things on the internet. You know, everybody needs to be providing more quality, not just churning out material and whatever it is. I mean, you're talking about the manufactured stuff and how they produce songs these days. Do you think you're going down that street where you're trying to put a lot more time and quality into your songs that you're making?
I think you want to get as much emotion into the songs as you possibly can, because I think the emotion is what people connect with. You know, if it's a genuine emotion in a song, or, you know, a feeling or whatever, you want that to come across as much as you can without flattening that out in production. So I think
a lot to do with a lot of pop production now is in the vocals, where it can be quite compressed and there's a ton of auto-tune on. And there have been instances that we've said, you pare back the auto-tune, please, because it doesn't even sound like us. And we actually asked to take it off or dial it right back. I mean, every song that you hear on the radio, there's something going on with the vocals, right? That is just how music is made now. But people who take it really far. And I do find a lot of pop music these days is quite samey sounding, and there's quite a lot of stuff out there that's just not setting my world on fire. And like, we go back to that sort of 80s and 90s kind of melodic, anthemic pop music, and even the ballads had something to say. And I think it always comes back to the song and that story of the song, and can people relate? And that's definitely what we've always tried to maintain with our music, every step of.
And I think it's really nice when people want to get to know you and they want to find out a little bit more about your personalities and what you do, as well as just singing songs or whatever you're performing. And they just want to find out a little bit more about you and make you like a friend. You become like a friend. Do you find that?
Great to people, isn't it? And I think, you know, for us, if there's anyone new out there that's kind of tuning in to find out about us, we're actually genuine working class people. We work around the clock. We've got other jobs. We've got day jobs to pay the bills. We'd love to be full-time musicians. This is what we want to do. But obviously, we're not there yet because we're not big mega stars. So we're just working hard, and we're writing songs, and we're going out and we're doing the gigs, and we're doing the festivals, and we're doing our best. And this is the graft. This is the hard stuff, the graft of to go for your dreams.
People just think it's really super easy to become a pop star. I want to be a pop star, and it's dead easy.
I wish it was.
Yeah. All illusions of the music industry ever being easy. I don't think I ever thought it was easy, but I don't think when you enter into it you realise just how much you have to hang in there. You know, you really have to be resilient. You have to be comfortable with rejection every single day. You know, and
thick skin.
You got to be thick-skinned. I mean, record labels these days, they would turn down the Beatles, and I know that Beatles were turned down by a couple of people before they were signed, but they wouldn't even get a look in unless they had, you know,
1 billion streams already.
Yeah, they wouldn't even be listened to probably, and that's sad. There's so many talented people out there, you know, people who really should be making it, but you know, unless they have money or followers or anything like that, you know, they're not going to be heard. So something does need to change, I think, in that.
Well, I think you're nearly there. You nearly made it. In my book, you know, when I listen to your songs, I think they're great. And when I used to play them on the radio, I used to look down the playlist on the radio station, and I used to look out for all the songs that I thought were really decent. And you act as if they're all decent, don't you, when you're on the radio? But then I thought, that's a cracker when I saw one of yours coming up. Just keep going. You're doing a great job. I think 2024 is going to be a big year for you.
Yeah, we just need a lucky break, don't we? Because we've done a lot of that kind of emerging artist stuff. We've done a load of stuff. We've opened for huge acts like Sister Sledge and Belinda Carlisle, and tours up and down the UK. We're actually getting asked to go overseas a lot by fans. We've been on Radio 2. We've been playlisted. We've got our music onto the Kardashians on Disney Plus. There's definitely been a bit of momentum, but we don't take it for granted because it's just sliding doors every day with music. You never know what's going to happen the next day.
Right, before we go, how can people find out a little bit more about the Eves? Have you got a website?
We do have a website. It's theeves.co.uk, and on social media you can get us on Facebook and Twitter, or X now as it's called, at Music, and Instagram at the Eves Music UK. We've got TikTok as well, but we're still sitting on the fence with that one. We don't want to become comedians, so we don't really know what to put on there. So
I just can't take TikTok seriously. It's a little bit of a joke to me.
Nonsense.
I don't know. Yeah. I'm just old-fashioned. Right, it's been great having you on the programme. Thanks ever so much and taking the time out to speak to us here at Sans Showbiz. It's been brilliant having you along. What we'll do, we'll catch up with you. We'll let you get the whole year through because you're going to be double busy, especially up to Christmas as well, and maybe catch up with you this time next year, which will be 2025. Getting frightening. So we'll do that if that's all right.
Thank you. It's so lovely to chat to you. Thank you so much.
And we'll try and get you back on the podcast as well next year. Sans Showbiz. Thanks very much.
Absolutely.
Well, good luck with it, Nigel, and keep going with it because, like you say, it's, you know, it is a nice thing to do. It's there. And it'll be there for a few years to come. So stick with it.
Many thanks. Take care. See you soon. There we go with the Eves on today's podcast here on Sans Showbiz.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. You take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us and sharing in the untold stories of the stars. If you loved what you heard, make sure to hit subscribe on this podcast channel to never miss an episode. Stay connected and become part of the Sans Showbiz family by following us on our social media platforms. Your ticket to the heart of showbiz awaits every Monday. See you next time.